Hey everyone, as mentioned in the previous video, this video I'm going to show you how to extend this and a couple other things. Because this video is going to be a little bit long, in the comment section I have timestamps if you want to skip around. Before I start though, I do want to mention one thing that I made a mistake on, and that is entering hours that are less than 1 hour long. For example, if you go sewing for 45 minutes, make sure you put in a 0 as a placeholder for the hour, and again a colon, and then 45 minutes, and that way if you press enter, it'll come out with the right reading. So again, just make sure that when you're entering in anything under 1 hour, you don't put just colon, like 30 minutes for example, and enter, because then that'll give you that, it won't show up, it'll give you a wrong reading. So just make sure that you put in a 0 as a placeholder for the hour, and then it'll give you a right reading. So I just want to mention that really quickly. Now let's talk about how to extend this. So I'm gonna press the plus button and then right click, rename 2022 for my case. Then gonna go to the previous spreadsheet. And how I'm zooming out and zooming in as a shortcut, you could zoom in and zoom out down here, but I just use the shortcut Control and then scroll wheel, and that's how you zoom out and zoom in. Anyways, you want to select the whole thing, copy this whole thing, and paste it to the spreadsheet. So the shortcut is Control A. It'll Control A, and it'll highlight everything. Hold on a second. Yeah, Control A, and then Control C to copy. Or I could right click and copy, go to here, paste it. And so now we need to update this. So first, obviously, you want to clear all these entries. Alright, so clear all the entries, and also you want to make sure that some of the months it does not have an extra day or one less day. So over here, I'm just going to drag this down. Alright, cool, this doesn't have an extra day. Alright, so I'm going to talk later on if you want to create a region, not a region, but a location column right here. I will talk about that later on. But first, let's edit the left-hand side first, and then we'll get to the right. So first thing, obviously, is the year, because we're in 2022 on the spreadsheet. So let's zoom in a bit. Let's change it to 2022. And instead of individually changing all these, an easier way to change them is to change the first cell, and then move your cursor down to the bottom right hand of the cell, and until your cursor turns into a black cross, and then just double click, and that'll autofill all this. So just change the first cell, and then double click on the lower right hand of the cell, and it'll update the rest of the cell. So I'm going to do this for the rest. Alright, cool, just finished. And also make sure you press Control S to save it. File, save, and just make sure you save it so you don't lose anything in case this closes. And as I mentioned, make sure that there's no extra days in the month, but this should be fine. Alright, so we changed the left hand side, now let's change the right hand. So these two columns, the first two columns are fine, but the last year column we need to edit. If you click on the this cell right here underneath the last year cell, I'll put it on the top. It'll have the spreadsheet and the spreadsheet reference. So this is 2020. We wanted to reference the 2021 spreadsheet, the previous spreadsheet. So just delete the 0, and then I'm gonna put in 1 for my case, and then enter. And that should automatically update the rest of the cells. If it does not update, then you just want to do it one by one. But you want to make sure that the reference is referring back to the previous spreadsheet. So all these look fine. All right, cool. And do the same thing for this table. So right now it's 2020, 2021. And then enter. How you reference back to a table is you just type in the table name. I mean, not the table. The spreadsheet name, and then followed by an exclamation point, and then the cell that you want to reference. So that's how you do that. Enter. Just make sure again that all these are referenced correctly. All right, looks good. And then you want to go down here. And let's add one more row so that we can include this year. So it's going to be 2022. Awesome, and it already creates one. If oh wow, hold on a second. Let me center this. There we go. In the next year, when I copy it, I obviously don't want these two tables. I don't want them meeting. I don't want them touching each other, so what I could do is I could just highlight it, cut it, Control X, and then move it down one layer. Move it down one cell, sorry. And that way I have more space for when I copy it or whatever. Yeah, so this needs to be referenced back to this right here, this spreadsheet. So right now it's Z17. Let's just put in front of the Z. I'm gonna put in 2021. Whoops, 2021, because that's the name of the previous spreadsheet, and then exclamation point, enter, and it'll update. It'll reference to the previous spreadsheet, and it'll pull out the right number. All right, so 2022. I'm gonna press equal. And then this is the hours. So total hours is right here. Click on that. So up here in the formula box right here, it'll say Z17. Looks good. Enter. And so that'll update, and then you might want to center it. It'll be in the home center. Do the same thing for the next table, the last table right here. So all these are fine. It's just the 2021. We need to reference that to the previous spreadsheet. So it's going to be 2021 exclamation point. There we go. And then let's move this down one more, one cell. All right, cool. So again, I'm just cutting and then pasting it. Control X to cut and Control C to paste, or you could highlight and right click and then cut right here, and it should be good. So for the accumulated hours, we need to edit this as well. So let me just show you. Let me just delete this entire thing. So accumulated hours equals, if you decide to use this, equals sum, open parentheses, and then just highlight all these. Enter. Bam. There's that. Well, actually, I might have done this wrong. Hold on a sec. Okay, never mind. I didn't include this top layer. Whoops. Okay, awesome. Looks good. Do the same thing for accumulated. We just need to add this right here. So this is going to be, right now it's from Z62 to Z65. So Z62 is right here. and Z62. We need to add one more, so 2022. Center. And in case yours isn't formatted, if you want to format it to the hours, just right click. Where's the format? Format, and you got to make sure it's on, under number tab, it's time, and right here, the hours and the minutes with the colon, right? For this, you could just leave alone. The format, that is, just general is fine. So let's reference the cell. So equals, and then this is the salvation table. So when you look at the salvation table, yearly total right there, click on that, enter. There we go. And actually already updated. So it says Z62 to Z66. Before it was 260 to Z65. 66, that's what this is. So it should update, but if it does not update, you're going to want to update this formula right here. So it's sum, and then the sum of what you want to, what you want to sum, which rows or columns you want to sum. All right. So we took care of the tables. Now let's take care of these charts. So these charts are actually attached to the previous, on the previous spreadsheet. These charts are attached to these tables. So we need to delete these tables and add new tables. So we just delete these. Then just gonna highlight January, this, and then just down, but not including the yearly total, just this region right here. Just highlight this, insert tab, where is it? Here it is. Insert column or bar chart right there, and it's just going to be the first one, 2D column. And after that, I'm going to choose whichever, you could choose whichever style you want. I like just using this. You could choose another style or whatever, but I'm just going to choose this. Move it over. If you don't know how to change it, just click on the bar graph and then enter design right here. The design should pop up once you click on this, and it'll give you options to choose which style. So I'm going to change the name. Let's see. Total monthly hours. And then I'm gonna, yep, that looks good. Gonna click on the bar graph again. I'm gonna go to add chart element. Then go to data, let's see, data labels. Then outside end. That way all the readings will be on the top right there. And then I'm just gonna stretch this out. All right. Okay, actually, I made a mistake. You actually want to highlight the month, the titles. You want to highlight the titles as well, because right now I'm getting the Series 1 and Series 2. I don't want to do it manually, so an easier way, sorry guys. So what you want to do is highlight the titles also. Highlight the month this year and the last year's cell. Go down to December, so just this entire region. Insert. Then right here. Then 2D column. And it'll say, hold on a second. Yeah. So clustered column right here. There we go. And then I'm just going to change it. How I change the look of it is I just click on the chart, and when you click on the chart, the design and format tab should appear. Click on the design, and then all the designs should appear. You can choose whichever design you want. I'm just going to choose this. I'm going to change the title. So the previous title was called total monthly hours. So total monthly hours. All right. Then while it's clicked on the graph, I'm going to go to design, add chart element, and then data labels, and then outside end. That way I could see a reading on top of the bar graph. On top of the bars, these bars right here. And then I'm going to stretch out the graph, make it a little better so it's easier to read. There we go, pretty simple. Yeah, so in blue you have last year, and in orange, blue you have this year, last year you have orange. These are the readings from last year because these are referenced as we did earlier, reference to the previous year, and so that's good. If we double check, let's say March of last year was 2 hours and 30 minutes total. March of last year, 2 hours and 30 minutes. Awesome. So yeah, it's reading correctly. So do the same thing for this graph. Again, highlighting all the columns and rows of this table except for the yearly total. So just this region right here, insert, bar graph, and then the clustered column. Make it a little bigger, and then we'll call this total monthly salvations. All right. Click on the graph, design tab, and then change it to whatever design you prefer. And then click on the graph, design, add chart element, data labels, and then outside end. There we go. So we get a reading on the top of these bars. Awesome. So that is set. These two bar graphs are set. They're good. Now let's create a cluster. Not a cluster, but scatter plot. Let's create a scatter plot. So same thing. Highlight, and then insert. But instead of going to the bar graph, we're going to go right here to scatter chart. Click on that, and then I choose the scatter with smooth lines and markers. I'm going to change it. All right. And then you're going to change the title. Let's see, total hours by year. It's going to double click on this and then change it to total hours by year. All right, there's a few more things I want to do on this graph. Design, add chart element. We're going to do axis titles, primary horizontal. Do the same thing for primary vertical. So we have two labels, and for the x-axis and y-axis, a label for the x and y-axis. And then for the x-axis label, we're going to highlight this and then enter in year. And then for the y-axis, we're going to highlight this and then type in hours. On the x-axis, you see that it's 2018, 2018.5, 2019, 2019.5. So we don't want all these increments. We don't want increments of 0.5. We just want it to go from 2018 to 2019, and then 2019 to 2020, etc. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to click on the x-axis where these numbers are. Click on that where this is where it's selected. Right click, click on Format Axis. And then right here, major, where it says 0.5, we're going to change that to 1. Press enter. And if you don't like that, you could always press reset, but I like it this way, so I just I just type in 1. And now it's 2017, so it's by year. All right. I'm going to do the same thing as I did with this table. So I'm going to highlight, insert, scatter plot right here. And I'm not going to do what I did with the bar graphs, that is putting an indication of how many hours or salvations on the top of this, because the whole point of this is to quickly glance at this and just see the trend that you're making, just if you're doing more or less. So it's just to view the trend, how you're doing in, the previous years. So that's why it's small, and I don't have any, it's just a quick glance, basically. Just take a quick glance at it and see how I'm doing, how I'm doing, in the previous years and this year as well. So going to do the same thing as I did before. So click on the graph and then go to Design, Add Chart Element, Axis Titles, Horizontal, and one for vertical. This one is going to be at the bottom, year, and then salvations. So again, going to format the x-axis, right click, format axis. So I clicked on it, clicked on the x-axis, a little tiny box, I'm not sure if you can see it on the screen, but a box will appear on the x-axis. If you click on the x-axis, this little box will appear around it. Right click, format axis, going to change the major to 1. All right. That way it's just by year. And the same thing goes with the y-axis. If it's like 1.1, or 1.5 or 2.5, you're not going to get 2.5 salvations. So you want to click on the y-axis, right click, and then format axis, and then change this to 1 if it's not 1 already. So I believe by default this might be 0.5, but so that's how you do that. And of course, as always, save it, Control S or Command S if you're using a Mac, and that is how you do that. So not too of a long drawn out process. Pretty simple. Now I want to talk about how to add another column. So right now we only have 3 columns up here on the left hand side: a month, a day, hours, and salvation. If you want a location column, I'm going to show you how to do that now. So first, you want to select the very top header, daily slowing log, and then where it says merge and center, click on that, and it's going to unmerge and uncenter. Do the same thing for the right hand side right here. So merge and center. There we go. It's going to unmerge and center. Do the same thing for this right here, this cell, just to make it easier when moving things around, because we're going to need to move things around to add that extra column. All right. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 cells that need to be unmerged and uncentered on the right hand side. And then we're going to do the same for the left hand side. All this. So just unmerge. And again, this will just make things easier when you're moving things around. Once you do this the first time, you're not going to have to worry about it a second time. Alright, so once these cells that are merged and centered, and merged, are unmerged and uncentered, then so there's 6 across, and so we want to have 1 space in between the left and right. So we need to move to the right 7. So let's highlight everything on the right hand side, and then we're gonna cut it. Again, it's Control X or Command X. Control X or Command X, and we're gonna move 7 cells to the right. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7, and then paste it. Control V or Command V. There we go. All right, now we got some room on the left-hand side. So let's highlight this, and then Control X. Move it over 1 cell. 1 cell right here. Control V. There we go. now we have some room here to create a location column, and then we want to highlight this with the different color, the cell, so right here, and then yeah, that looks good. And then make this bold. If you don't know the shortcut for making it bold, it's Control B to make it bold, or you could go up here and click on the B. Alright, save it. Cool, there's one spot right here. I mean, not one spot, there's one, you know, separated by one column. So just basically do the same thing. It's very repetitious, but we'll get there. So again, highlight. Select all this on this side, and then Control X. Move over one cell. Control V. All right. Then we could just. So just copy the location and then paste it. All right, there we have it. So locations column is added. When you zoom in, and if you see these numbers, that means that, you know, it's just a little too long, and so you can't see all of it. If you want to see all of it, just move your cursor up here into the alphabets column, and then just double click, move it right in between these two cells, and then double click, and then all of it should appear. There we go. Whoops, that was a little too much. I don't know why it did. Oh, that's why. Okay, so now let's recenter these. So highlight all this. There we go. And then click on merge and center. Do the same thing for the right. And then you can just move all these around according to your preference. All right, and so that's how you do that. So I just showed you how to extend it and also how to create another column if you'd like. What else? One second, let me go check what else I want to show you guys. All right, so as I mentioned in the previous video, when you enter in anything above 1 minute in the hours column, like for example, 30 minutes of soul winning, if you press enter, it turns green. If you don't like that green color, if you want another color, here's what you got to do. First, let's delete this. You want to highlight this right here. Actually, hold on a second. Let me unhighlight this cell. Alright, so you just highlight this right here. This region right here, and then you go to conditional formatting, manage rules, and then you click on edit rule, and then you go to format right here. Click on format on the tab. There's one that says font. We don't want that. We want the fill. And so now let's change it to blue. How about that? So click OK, OK, and then apply. Okay, and now if I change it, if I enter this in again, it turns blue. All right. All right, I just changed it back, but that's how you do it. Let me show you actually how I even did that to begin with. Let's say if you have a goal of 5 salvations, for example, 5 salvations total in a month, as an example, and if you reach that goal, then you want this, whichever month you reach that goal, you want that month to be highlighted, sort of like what we did in this column. In this column, if you went soul winning for more than a minute, and if you put that in, then it was highlighted. And so let's do that really quick. Let me show you how that works. So what you want to do is highlight the table just from just the one that the rows that you want highlighted. So I'm going to highlight this region. In the home tab, I'm going to click on conditional formatting, and I'm going to go to new rule right here. And I'm going to click on use formula to determine cells to format. So this last one right here. And then I'm going to enter in the formula equals if, and then we're going to click on, let's say, this year's cell. So this cell right here, just the first cell in the column. And then you want to make sure that you delete, because right now there's two dollar signs. You want to delete the dollar sign right here in between the F and the 2, so that there's only a dollar sign in between. I mean, not in between, but before the cell reference. And so just make sure you do that, or else it won't work. And so not comma. So if this cell, the cell that I just selected, which was AF28, if this cell is greater than or equal to 5 salvations, then I want it to highlight, so true. Else, if this is not met, if this condition is not met, then false, leave it alone. And then close parentheses. Now we want it to highlight. So click on format right here, and under the fill, choose whichever color you want. Let's just choose yellow. And then if you want the font to change a different color, you could do that, or whatever, or make a border. It's up to you, but I'm just going to do the fill, click OK. And then, so basically what this format says again is if the cell that we chose, remember we clicked on the cell, the very first cell in the column, if the cell is greater than or equal to 5, so 5 salvations, if that's true, then highlight. If it's not true, then leave it alone. So you click OK. And now, let's say, for example, in June, we went soul winning, for example, 30 minutes. Whoops. Again, inserting in a 0 as a placeholder for the hour. 30 minutes, all right. And let's say we got 4 salvations. I mean, just as an example, enter. Now notice in June, 4, but it's not highlighted. Now let's put in 5. Let's see if we got 5 people saved. Enter. Now the column, not the column, but the row is highlighted because the condition has been met. There's been 5 or more salvations, so that's why it's highlighted. So if you want to clear it, if you decide you don't want this, you could just highlight this and then go to conditional formatting, clear rules from selected cells, and it'll clear all the rules, and it'll deselect, or it'll go back to how it was before. And so that's how you highlight any of these rows, just by using that formula. Again, press Control S. Make sure you save your work so you don't lose anything. So yeah, I basically covered everything I wanted to say. If you have any questions, definitely feel free to leave a comment in the comment section. So if you watched all this, you should know how to extend this. You should know how to create this, headers, how to merge and center, how to create a new column, how to highlight columns and rows, graphs, also referencing previous spreadsheets. And so you should understand how to use all that to create your own custom log if you so choose to. So that's all I have to say for this video, guys. Hope you enjoyed. Hope you learned something new. That is it, guys. Again, if you have any questions, put in the comment section. All right, guys. Have a great day. God bless.